In just a few decades, rapid mechanization replaced the physical labor once required to find relief from the heat. The arrival of early electric appliances, like this motorized fan, meant personal comfort no longer depended on manual effort. When air conditioning units, like this Carrier model, reached the mass market, they allowed for the total control of indoor temperatures. Manual cooling was no longer a necessity. This technological solution to a basic human need created an immediate crisis for the craft that had previously performed that task for thousands of years. For over 2 millennia, the punkah, the traditional Indian hand fan, was a primary fixture of daily life. The word itself originates from punk, meaning the feather of a bird, pointing back to the natural materials used in the earliest fans. These fans appear in the 2nd century Buddhist wall paintings at Ajanta, establishing their deep antiquity and their historical role in sacred settings. Prior to electrification, highly ornate fans were essential tools in royal courts and elite households, serving as visible markers of status. When electric cooling made the fan's utility redundant, the pressure shifted to the thousands of marginalized, home-based artisans who relied on the craft for their daily income. To stay relevant, these artisan communities began a deliberate transition, moving the object from the realm of utility to the world of decoration. This pivot relied on an economic trade-off. As the fan's practical cooling value disappeared, its cultural artifact value had to increase to sustain the market. To attract buyers, makers emphasized intricate regional details, separating their handcrafted work from mass-produced technology. In Rajasthan, this meant utilizing heavy fabrics, gold threadwork, and the complex needlework of Zardozi. Artisans in Gujarat developed a different aesthetic, focusing on precise cross-stitch patterns and the integration of mirrorwork. These fans are the result of tireless labor by home-based women workers who produce these textiles to maintain their family's income. Focusing on distinct regional methods, artisans turned their local heritage into a marketable commercial asset. The diversity of the Indian landscape provided the specific raw materials that defined each region's output. In Bengal, artisans use the spongy, milky white solapith and palm leaves to create fans that are delicate and light. Tribal artisans employ a different discipline, using white ink to draw precise geometric patterns that reflect their own design language. Modern survival for these makers depends on external platforms, such as commercial exhibitions, to connect their work with urban consumers. Public workshops further this goal, framing the craft as a celebration of heritage rather than a private domestic chore. These commercial platforms provide the reliable income that allows traditional makers to continue their craft in a modern economy. The modern punkah survived by shedding its original function. It exists today as a purely aesthetic object, preserved by its own beauty. This act of adaptation mirrors the narrative of O. Henry's short story, The Last Leaf. In the story, an artist paints a single leaf on a wall to give a sick woman the will to survive. It was an act of creation designed to serve a specific, life-sustaining purpose. The continued labor of Indian artisans follows a similar logic. While the cooling function is gone, their fans serve as the mechanism that preserves their community's livelihood and ancient cultural lineage. Adaptation often requires us to let the old forms go, so that a more resilient foundation can finally be revealed. The history of the punkah suggests that preservation isn't about remaining static. It's about having the ingenuity to change alongside the world.